Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. We're back with a Wild West Exodus box set that I've had for way too long in my shelves, and it's time to put it together. This is the Divine Intervention Posse set. So you can see here we have a very mechanical looking lady on the front, who is actually a centaur, because why not? So these are part of the order, the Cor Caroli, I believe they were called. You have 4 of them. One with the big gun, one with a spear, maybe 2 with the spear, and then 1 with the pistol and sword, and then we have the actual centaur lady as well. I'm going to take a wild guess that this is probably going to be resin. I don't think these were made in plastic. Okay, they do have instructions if you need them. I'm not going to bother. Big Wild West Exodus bases. And let's find out what's inside. Okay. Here's 2 of the weapons. It's definitely the centaur lady's spear. A whole bunch of hands. Unfortunately, without really any guidance as to which parts go to who, or who goes where, or we can mix it up all Dr. Seuss style. Okay, more limbs. That sword worries me. Okay, well that's because it's already been somewhat clipped off. That's a very thin connection point. That really is worrisome. Here's our centaur lady's head. Shield of some sort. Her legs. I don't think she actually has any feet. They're like bladed, pointy edges. And then the body. I do believe she has some debris to kind of keep her upright. A pole arm. And one of the illuminated order. They're big dudes. If you're not familiar with them, I will show you guys just how big some of these models are. We'll get some comparisons going naturally after I get them all built. Hey. They are big. They're going to be on 40mm bases. So, as I know I've said in the past, these guys would make great stand-in Stormcast Eternals if you really wanted to mix things up and do something differently. They definitely aren't your average, ordinary Wild West figures, or Weird West at that. So, I am going to get these guys built, and we will take a look at just how they turn out. Alright, we got our Divine Intervention Posse all put together here. So, as I try to figure out who's who without the cards, because I don't know where I stuck them, that's going to be fun. I do have the top of the box to kind of figure things out. So, let's start with our buddy Han here. You can see very elaborate, eloquent looking armor. Nicely detailed. His funky sword is going to need to be straightened out, but, you know, that is something you have to deal with working with resin, so not a big deal. They are wearing face masks, so keep that in mind when painting them. And I finally found where I put my Stormcast, at least the last surviving Stormcast. So you can see they are pretty good in terms of size. It's not like these guys are ridiculously giant. They are on larger bases, but that's not that uncommon with Wild West Exodus models. For example, here's the legendary Wyatt Earp. You can see he is still a regular-sized human, but he is on a larger base. Well, he had a custom resin base. But using other Wild West Exodus models as an example, you can see there is obviously a bit of a size difference. This is one of my favorites, Marshall Base Reeves. I can't find my other top favorite, Waylon Smith. I have no idea where I put him, and I honestly spent a good chunk of the afternoon trying to find him to finish this video, but finally I just gave up, and I have no idea where he is. I honestly really like that model, too. It's kind of sad. So, in addition to him, we have, who is this, Vulana. It is a very feminine-sounding name, I'm assuming. Shouldn't assume, but she's, yeah, I mean, the proportions look more feminine, but that is a big honking gun. It's interesting that they all have little faces on them. I think if you were not as interested in actually playing Wild West Exodus proper, I think you could definitely find a home in a variety of tabletop games for these models. They are different and unique, and you know, that's something that I'm always looking for in touting with the models on this channel. Next up, oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't Vulana, that was Methun. This is Vulana. I like the kung fu pose there with the staff. So, despite having a bit of tiny little parts, everything went together really smoothly on Methun here. Vulana as well, nice and simple. The most complex of the lot were probably going to be Siraj. Siraj is actually based on an older model, and I had a really hard time getting his hands attached. You see there is not a good connection point there, and that's one of the reasons I hate lining up models where they are using both hands, where you have not only the arms and then the hands themselves as individual parts. Not fun. We're going to have to use some green stuff to fill in some gaps there. Somewhere, I swear I've painted the original version of Siraj too, but I have no idea where I put him either. And I went through all my boxes and bins and trays and drawers, and I question mark. No idea. And then finally, the centerpiece of the set, this is Makara. Now, the pictures on the box did not do a good job of illustrating how exactly to put her together, and I searched on Google and really couldn't come up with anything either. And I found a video of somebody else unboxing and building it, and it didn't look correct. And I probably should have just gone to Warcradle's site and double-checked if they actually have the directions on how to build her correctly. And I'll admit it, I still haven't checked, but basically what you want to do is you have the dirt getting kicked up right here. It's going to be the front legs actually have the contact points here, and then the back right leg is going to sit on top of that debris getting kicked up. And I put the legs on backwards originally. Was kind of confused. You want to have the bends in the armor in the front there. But it's a pretty neat model. It's an interesting base size. I mean, obviously it's like bike or mounted model size. And I was expecting her to be significantly larger, but honestly, she's not that much out of proportion compared to the rest of the crew. And so like I was showing earlier with a few of my painted examples, I got base Reeves there. So obviously, she's definitely going to be bigger than them. Our legendary Marshal here, not so much. Our wolf boy from the First Nations, I can't remember his name at the moment, but he's quite tall too. So you can see there is some nice variance. I have an unpainted, is it Custer? So you can see there's definitely some variance in terms of sizes within the game's scale. That's always a good thing. We want to see not everybody's the same height, obviously. If you wanted to mix things up and you wanted to use them in other games, just if you're curious about sizes, obviously with the Weird West influence, I had a random Dracula's America figure from North Star. You're going to see more discrepancies when I think the bases are going to become the biggest issue. Putting them on a bit larger base. You can see, so the proportions and sizes aren't too bad. Just be aware of the basing. If you're gonna, base it on your own materials, it probably works out better. If you're gonna keep everything on the bases at Warcradle supplies, I know they've been using these with their Mythos game as well, so something to keep in mind if you wanted to have some cross compatibility. And grabbing stuff like some GW and Privateer models just to show in terms of base size, they're not all that much bigger. It's when you have like the custom resin toppers, like on our legendary guy right here, that they really get kind of elevated. And I mean, that's going to be an issue regardless if you're using custom bases at that point too. So yeah, they'll fit in with other models out there. I don't think you're going to have too much of an issue with that. But obviously, Warcradle would like you to use their models in their games. But we all know it's fun mixing and matching and coming up with new stuff. So again, a visually distinct crew here, obviously. They're large, they're heavily armed and armored, and they're definitely not the average models that we see. And Centaurs, to me especially, are kind of a hard sell, but I do like the mechanical, steampunky nature of this one, Makara here, so I'll give her a pass. I'm very picky on Centaurs, but overall an interesting looking bunch, and I am finally determined to actually paint up all my other illuminated order models from Wild West Exodus. I know I've done a couple videos on the Cor Caroli guys before, so hopefully This will be the kick in the pants I need to actually get around to finishing painting them. So do take a look at Warcradle's site if you're curious about the game. They do have all the rules right there for free to download, along with all the most up-to-date cards and info on the game. And hopefully you'll find something that you like. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.